So Will, as we were mentioning before, the show is about talking to comics who have made it to the level of being on the road.
Yeah.
I actually saw some old footage. I was doing a mic at Bert's Back Room.
Yeah. The classic.
You were the comic before me. I was watching some old tape.
Wow.
And now that's a pay $5 to do 5 minutes, hole in the wall. It may have had bugs. It was the backstreet of Melrose.
But it was the best hole in the wall we had. That place rocked.
It was great.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it would be.
No.
And
Looked
there was
sad.
Yeah.
No, but it was great.
So now from that tape, that was 4 years ago, I'm going to say.
Wow.
And now
Wait, you had a tape with him in it?
Yeah, well, you know how you start recording before you go up.
Oh,
He's
that's
the
really
comic who was on
cool.
stage.
Yeah, that's really
You might have
funny.
been hosting. I don't know if you hosted.
I don't think I ever hosted, but I'm sure I was
you
just
were the comic
trying
before me.
stuff, figuring stuff out, bombing. Who knows what was happening.
As we all did. So my point was, 4 years ago, we're both doing the backstage of a middle of nowhere hole in the wall. Now you are crushing headlining around the country.
Yeah.
Can you fill us in? That's a broad question, but what has happened in the last few years? You've blown up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's pretty simple where I just was early in the clip game and did it during COVID and was just posting stand-up clips. And,
how about that?
But the thing is I've been doing it for so long that I was able to iterate on it, make it better. Like when people were just started doing it, I had already been doing it for like a year or so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got in early and I just worked my ass off and got a little bit of a following on TikTok. I think a few people did during COVID, and I was one of them. Got like a little bit of a following. Kept posting. Eventually, I moved over to Instagram.
Yeah.
And then and again, like it slowly started to get a following, slowly. And it's like, cool, this is working. I'm just gonna keep doing it, being consistent, always posting shit. Making sure and then I started bringing my camera to all the sets. That was when I started doing that. I was like, oh, I need to start filming my sets because this is the thing. Before I was just using a lot of old footage that I'd had from a long time ago. So I was like, oh, I guess this is like my thing now. I need to start filming my sets.
Yeah.
And so I just kept doing that for like a few years. And then Instagram, I think it was like the end of 2022, I think, I hit this like crazy Instagram Reels wave where there was like a handful of people that like blew the fuck up. Yeah. And I was just one of them. It was like I would wake up to like 5,000 followers every day.
Stop it.
And it just kept going. It was just a few videos. It was every video was catching.
And this is unique followers, people who are already following you?
These
or
are all new
just,
followers.
Wow.
5,000.
It was insane. It was like every morning I'd be like, holy shit. It was like, and it was consistent and it didn't stop for like a few months until I hit I remember I hit 100K when I was opening for somebody in Chicago and I was like, holy shit, like this is crazy. And it just kept going. And now it's leveled off to a very like normal basis, but a few people hit this. I call it like the Reels Renaissance because it was a few people just like took the fuck off. It was like me, like Jason Cheney, Daniel Weingarten, a few other people just
Daniel
like,
Weingart's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah, he's the best.
My neighbor, yeah.
And so I just kept doing that, and then eventually, I mean, this is going to turn into like a long story. I don't know how much of it you.
No,
feel free to interject because this is a long.
Go.
But this is like I'm covering all the stuff,
Tell
so feel
us.
free to
Tell
interject.
us, brother.
Just
preach.
We've got a very
Go for
busy
it.
schedule right now. Will. Okay.
So and then I realized I would get so many DMs of people being like, come to my city, come to this city, and I was like, cool, but like I have no way of doing that because a lot of people don't know is to do a comedy club, you most of the time need like an agent to get you that opportunity.
Yeah.
Or you like figure out you rent a venue or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So all I did was I started with all those messages. I built this email list, which now is a very common thing to do, where people submit their city and their email, and so I just built that early, and so I've been collecting for like a while. So the whole year I basically was spent like collecting a bunch of emails.
Was that through DMs?
Like
Did you have a method?
No, I put it like in my website, just like a form. People filled it out, and it like started to like grow and grow and grow until I had like thousands and thousands of emails in all the cities too. So I knew where people wanted me to go.
Wow.
And so I was like, and then I hit a point where I was like, all right, I think I can like maybe tour. Like I think I can maybe sell some tickets because clearly there's a lot of people who were like, I would see him.
And that's what you're doing now. Like you're on a tour now.
Yeah, but this was like way before. I was just like, oh, people want to see me, I guess, but you don't know for sure because I think the big thing is that just because you have followers does not immediately equate to ticket sales.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you were getting people to go from liking your video
to
then seeing what you had like a call to action. Did it say in your bio like email me?
Pretty much,
because people you're saying they went to your website. This is from like a marketing perspective. Getting people to click and go somewhere else, take a new action. Yeah, they gotta love you.
That's a good point,
right? Yeah. So basically, they see an Instagram video or a TikTok, they click on your link tree or whatever, and then they go to your website and then they fill a field.
Yeah, and they actually type out a city. They're like Sacramento. They type out the whole thing. So that's
So
like
you created like a little funnel, basically.
basically,
to get
yeah.
people- yeah.
And I always try to make it as easy as possible. Like easy, like they go right to my website. It's right there. Where should I go? I think I put like tour coming in 2023, even though there was no tour. I was like, I'm gonna tour.
Yeah, but you're visual. It's also a manifestation thing too, where you're already visualizing it beforehand and it's coming into fruition. So it's kind of like a cool, like, you know, putting it out there thing.
Yeah,
like,
I was just like, I want to do this, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to kind of like make it happen. And I just collected all these emails, and I knew their specific cities, and then the short version of this one is I picked up a headlining gig at the Brea Improv. Someone like recommended me, and I just did like a one-nighter in Brea, and which is a big deal. That's the first club I've ever headlined.
50
you know?
minutes.
Yeah, I did like a full headlining set, and it was like my third, fourth time doing that. And before that, I'd done a show, and I tried doing a show in Boston, which I should have said this first. So I did like a test run in Boston. I was like, let me do this like this place called the Hideout. It seats like 90 people.
Yes, I heard that on your pod.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a great story.
Oh, thanks. And I basically did like, let me see if I can sell some tickets. And I sold like 90 tickets on a Thursday.
Wow.
In a place I've never been
Word
to.
of mouth? Through
Yeah,
word
basically
of
just
mouth?
posting about it. Just be like, hey, I'm in Boston. And I sold like 90 tickets. And I was like, cool, that's a good start. I'm like, that's people I guess do want to see me a little bit as I'm collecting all these emails and shit like that. You know?
I mean,
you
at least
have-
90 of them did. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, for sure. I at least had that maybe.
Did you have, if you looked at your numbers, did you know that you had a certain number of emails from Boston?
Yeah, I knew it was like one of my bigger cities. So
Okay.
I was like, oh, cool. This is a good like test run.
If you know, I mean, I don't know if it's like random, but to get 90 tickets sold, how many subscribers, how many emails in, you have like 500, was it 1,000
at the
emails
time,
in Boston?
at the time, I bet I had maybe, because I know how many I have now, because I'm such a nerd with all this stuff. I can
I love
tell you how
stats.
many.
Whatever you want to share.
No, I think at the time maybe I had at least like 100, if not 200, maybe something like that. But
that's
it's
like 50%.
so that's a 50, yeah,
That's
it
the
was pretty
conversion
good.
rate is sick.
and what was crazy is that the Boston Celtics were in the finals playing Game 5 that night.
That's never going to help you.
No, and I still sold like a decent amount of tickets, which I was like, oh, of course, of all the days. So.
That's like going head to head, you know, of like football and
Dude,
something else.
it was the finals.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
come on.
Like,
That's a testament, man.
Yeah, it was
you know,
really cool.
That's amazing.
What do you attribute that to? Like, is it just the tenacity or like your likability factor? You don't know.
I don't.
What's
We
your
need you
secret
to know
sauce?
this.
It's almost not for me to
Secret sauce, Will.
I don't know, dude, because it's like it's almost not for me to say. I think people.
Shut up.
I think from what I've heard from people like that talking to them after shows, I think a lot of people like that if I am doing any sort of crowd work or any sort of like. Just in my stand-up style is very like nice, and I'm making people feel good instead of being mean or bullying them or shitting on them. My whole thing is if people come to a show, I want them to like feel good about themselves. I don't want them to get there and be like, oh, the comedian just made me feel like shit the whole time, which is so stupid. It's like
It's
you
funny.
paid.
I did a show with you some time ago
Oh, wow.
at the Haha.
Sure.
And you like everyone was really low. I think there was a game going on. Everybody was really low energy. And you
Yeah.
came in and you did really you were like, hey, how's everybody? And you were just so personal.
Oh,
You-
cool.
I think you did all like crowd work. You were just talking to
that's
people.
nice.
And you really did have that like warm feeling, and it brought the energy
Oh,
up.
cool. That's
it
nice.
literally did.
Well,
so
that's-
I
that's
remember
cool.
that
Oh,
from
wow.
you. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So that does say a lot about the person. We talked about this with Anthony. Do people come for the jokes or the person, the comic?
Right. Hopefully a little bit of both.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was like, well, what if I just like did a tour myself? Like, what if I just like put together a tour? Because I have the people who want to come see me. So I was like, well, why don't I just like find a bunch of venues and just do this shit myself instead of like waiting for an agent to like let me
Love it.
do this.
You didn't ask for permission, and
No.
that's a lot of people wait around at especially in this
Right.
industry. We wait for permission, and you just took it. Especially, it seems like after COVID, it gave you that to just take it.
I was like,
without
why am I
asking.
waiting? I was like, why am I waiting? This is so stupid. I'm like I know people will come see me.
You have the fan base.
Like, yeah, it's like,
just
let me
do it.
do this. So,
yeah.
but
Now,
again,
were
it was,
people coming back to clubs now at this point? Like,
well, at that point, I'd only done like 2 headlining shows. So I was just like, I knew I did okay. Let me just do this. You know, I did basically spent like a few months just, you know, like a full-time job, like planning a tour, like all indie shit, like all these little random rooms I would find. In Denver, I'd found like a little like 160 seat theater. San Francisco, I found like a 99 seat little club. And it was all these random little things that I was doing everything myself just to see if like, can I actually do this? Like, are really people going to see me? And I remember and I put the shows on sale, and I called it the Just Us Tour, basically because it was just, there was no agents, no managers. It was just me and the people. It was me and the people. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I remember San Diego, it sold out in 24 hours. I sold like 100 tickets in a day.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, fuck. This is like maybe a thing. And it just kept, and like Denver sold out in like a week. It was like 160 seats. It was like getting these crazy results that almost made me like go, oh, I think I can like for real do this. And it was this amazing experience where I was selling all these tickets, and I was like, well, I guess. And then I had to go do the shows, and then I started doing the shows.
Speaking of for real, were you utilizing the actual reels on Instagram to push these events, or how were you marketing yourself?
Yeah.
Were you using your newsletter at the same time? Like, what's your combination of
yeah,
marketing?
so I would hit people up from the newsletter when I actually had the show going. I was like, hey, the show, hey, show announcement. Here you go. I'm going to this city. And then I just marketed. I would just post about it. And I find that I'm pretty good at the balance of how much I'm marketing versus not. Like, I feel like I have a good, you don't want to bug people too much. People know what's up. And I was also doing a good job of like hyping the tour up and like telling people like what is sold out. Like, no, this sold out, this sold out, this sold out. So like people are like, oh fuck, this is like
FOMO
a thing.
effect.
And it helped a lot. So this first leg of the tour was a lot of low investment places. It was like West Coast, places you can drive to, Denver, Seattle. Good flights in case it bombed. I didn't go to Philly. You know what I mean? Right. So that was my whole thing, and it just went like super well.
So were you asking for guarantees, or were you doing door deals like at these clubs that you were picking in?
It was mostly, some were door percentages. I got in a few improvs because of the guy who booked me at Brea. He got me San Jose and Ontario. And so those were all percentages. And then a lot of them were venue rentals. So like, Denver was like a $500 rental, and then I just keep the door. And I was making money too. It was like crazy. I didn't even know what I was like. This is nuts that I'm like selling tickets, making money. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Can you tell us how much, like in one night, that you were able to?
No, I mean, I can't say how much. I mean, it was more. It was
like how much
asking a woman her weight.
You can do the math though. I mean,
it's not that hard to figure out. But keeping the whole door was pretty crazy. I just had to pay the fee or whatever, and so it was just this like crazy whirlwind of a few months. You're like, this is like, how is this happening? It was such a big change. You know what I mean?
And it was just you. Or did you have an opener coming?
Well, Anthony came with me a lot at first, and then I had another buddy, Ashoka. Do you know Ashoka? Yeah. Thomas? Yeah, he's like one of my longest friends in comedy, and he came with me for a few too. And so, so no, it was just me and my buddies.
Are you at a point of staff? I mean, are you a one-man show? Do you have like an assistant? Do you have an editor?
No, I do everything myself.
One time I messaged Mark Norman like years ago, and the guy, he responds immediately. The guy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I hit him. I was like, hey, what do you use? Something about the editing. I liked one of his cuts, and I was like, what do you use to edit? He's like, I use some nerd. And I was like, nerds.
Outsourcing stuff.
That's great.
That's definitely a Mark Norman response.
But people like when you can do everything, like, and you are, you're able to do things without, what am I trying to say? I'm losing.
You're like self-sufficient.
You're self-sufficient, yes. Yeah. People love that because it puts you ahead of a lot of people. So.
Well, it's also maybe being a control freak, because that's also mostly what it is. I don't trust people to do anything, to be honest, but I don't trust them. I want
to manage your craft,
your
your
art.
Way. No,
I've worked way too hard to be like, edit this for me. I'm like, that's crazy. Eventually, I think it'll maybe be like, hey, caption this for me. Maybe I still will need control over everything. For at least for now. But doing it for so long, it's like all I know. It's like weird. Like, what else am I gonna do?
Well, how long have you been doing comedy total?
I want to start from the beginning. Like, where did you grew up in the Bay, or did you come? So you grew up in the Bay. Talk to us about that, like in coming here. And
I mean, I've been doing stand up for 9 years. October it'll be 9 years if you include COVID in that.
Nice.
We count that.
That was like 2 years.
That's like 20.
I know.
Yeah.
So I feel like more like 8. 8 I should do it for real. I grew up in the Bay, and then I went to film school in Chicago, and that's where I did my first year of comedy was my last year of school. My senior year is when I started doing stand up. I was living in like a studio apartment just like by myself, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna start doing stand up, because I'd always loved it, and I'd done it like when I was 17 and 19. Like I'd done it like twice. And I was like, I don't think this is like really something I want to do. And then I just started doing it, and I didn't.
Little did you know.
And I didn't stop. And I graduated and moved right to LA like immediately, because I want to get back to the West Coast. The Midwest is fucking brutal, and I went right back to I went right to LA. I found an apartment on Craigslist.
Those winters are gnarly.
They're insane.
Yeah.
I'm always like, how do people live there? It's fucking crazy. You cannot live normally for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Just I'm from New England. It is not real life.
Like, how do you?
The world tries to kill you for about 3 to 4 months a year. No, it's trying to tell you shouldn't be here. That's why I say that, like, you do learn humility growing up in a cold environment.
Yeah.
Because, like, my girl's from Florida. She's great.
Mine too,
We always make fun of people from Florida, or I always do. She didn't know everybody did. Because I say in Florida, you can be as crazy as you want. You don't need anyone else. As long as you can outrun whoever you piss off, you can just sleep under a palm tree and move the next day. It's fine. But in New England, if you piss off everybody in the winter, they're going to thaw you out in the spring. Like, you're not going to make it. You need 4 or 5 people who know how to cut wood or cook or sew. You know, it's like some pilgrim shit.
It's exactly. It's pilgrim shit. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Yeah.
No
but
way.
if you just decide to separate from the group in mid-February,
crazy.
See ya, dude.
Right. You don't want to go Winter's Coming and the White Walkers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real.
So.
I was out of there. I was like, nope, I'm out of here. So yeah, and there's been in LA. I've been in LA ever since.
So your senior year of college. That was, and were you just hitting a bunch of mics? Were you pretty steady?
Yeah.
Just mics. Yeah.
You seem like a diligent guy.
For how long?
Almost too much. So yeah, like that's like my number one thing is like my work ethic and my discipline. That's like my whole thing. It's just I'm like crazy disciplined.
Yeah.
And which is I think helped me a lot because I'm never like I've always been annoyed when people are just like pursuing something creatively and they're lazy.
Yeah.
It's like being lazy is like the worst excuse and I have zero sympathy for that.
Yeah.
Because it's too hard. You cannot be lazy.
No, you can't.
It's just you can't. That's not an excuse. If you have family shit going on, personal stuff, that's fine. But like you cannot be lazy.
It's true,
that's
though.
crazy. So I would,
Where'd you get that? Did you do like a year in the military? Like where is this?
I don't know
ethic?
because you have a like I stick to something. I do it. I do it. I do it.
I hate when people who just talk about shit.
Yeah.
So many people in LA just
bro.
talk.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. They're not. Where is it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're cool, man.
Shit, dude, this is a reality check for all of us. We need to like go out here. I want to do some push-ups in the middle of this. No,
like, he's
right
making
now.
me want to like. I should start going like this.
Guys, this has been a great show. I'm going to the gym.
Good.
Well,
Are your
talk soon.
parents?
Yeah. No, I think
Yeah.
I know why I'm like this. I think number one is I wanted to be and still want to be successful so badly
Why?
that I don't care what it takes to get there. Like
Damn,
I just
dude.
want to be successful so badly.
Sure.
But
Rub
where
off
does that
some of
come
that,
from? But what does the psychology of that come from?
Yeah.
I want to be successful because
Well, it's just my dream has been to be doing this. Whether it's like when I was younger, it was acting, and now that's older, it's more so stand up. With acting, I still would like to do, but I just want to be successful so badly, just because it's my dreams. It's like what I've visualized since I was a kid is where I'm at.
what does it look like though? What does success? Because right now
question.
people would say that you are successful.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
when I started headlining like comedy clubs and touring, like that's like especially once all the indie stuff faded away and it just became all the comedy clubs because every place I'm at is just a club now. That's to me is like that's a big like kind of check the box. Like my dream has come true because I did want to be for the last 9 years. I've worked every day to be a headlining comedian at clubs that people are paying to go see because I'm selling whatever amount of tickets in every city. That's all I wanted in that. That's like the first level of success. So I got that. I got like a baseline. I could do this forever and just do this because it's a pretty fucking great life. But then there's more. You still want to then like, I'm doing a lot of one-nighters. I want to do weekends. And then it's like you do weekends and you want to sell out weekends. So there's definitely levels of success that I want, but I'm also trying to stay grounded in like, you made it to this. And this part's fucking hard to get to. So I think,
Do you think that when you've mastered your highest level that you've had as your goal, are you going to turn the page and then want to become a pilot? You know what I mean? Like, no, I mean for real, because you have ambition. Is it going to transfer to something else, or is there no end to the road
ceiling,
for comedy for you?
Well, I think it's just in stand up. It's just growth. It's continuing to grow. I don't think when you're selling out theaters, I don't think there's much higher I would ever want to go. I don't want to be like Kevin Hart.
An arena?
I don't
comic?
Yeah, I don't really care about that's to me. That's not really what stand up is. That's like
different performance.
It's like a rock
right?
show. It's a different thing.
That's
which
like Andrew Dice Clay from back in the day.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I mean?
real.
So.
And I think it's probably an amazing experience. And it's also me saying this now. Who knows? When I'm
Yeah,
like,
who
5
knows
years,
in
who
5,
knows?
yeah.
But to me, it's like I know what the best case level success I want, and there's still a ways to go to get that. So I need to still be, even though I'm at this cool level right now, there's still so much work that I still need to do. But I'm very grateful to where I'm at now. And
is there a particular club that you love going to?
There's a bunch. Yeah, for sure. I can give you like 5.
What are your top 3
Well,
clubs?
he's doing so many. It's
Do you have like
well, let me get to that in 1 second because the last thing I wanted to say is also you said a thing about my parents is that is my dad is like crazy disciplined. There's no military background or anything. He's like 70, almost 75, and he works like full time and travels and does like as if he's 35.
What kind of field?
In marketing, he's like the president of like an ad company, and he's like hustling and working every single day.
Yeah,
and that I think has inspired me a lot
That's
be
cool.
because he's so disciplined and so he's always growing up. He's always like, it's work. You go to work and it's work.
I like the discipline backstory. No, I like to know. Like I always like to read stories of people who've made it. Who was it? An uncle? Was it a dad? A mom?
It's gotta be
exciting incident that happens. That's like this is why I want this.
Or a hatred of your childhood.
Sure.
Some people have none of that. And they're just like, I'm not living like this another day.
I know.
You look
This
at
comes
like
from
a
a positive,
Carnegie
though.
or some of these like big like magnates from back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, it is funny because he traveled a lot when I was growing up, which is funny to now. I'm the guy who travels a lot now,
Yeah.
too. And then
Did you not like that when you were?
I mean, I think I was too young to really figure out like, what was going on. I didn't know. I mean, of course I didn't like it, but it was also just, it's all I knew. It was just my dad traveled.
Dad had to work.
All it was. Yeah, he had to work. And so the same
Yeah.
thing as me. I'm like, go to this place. I got to work. I go to this place and it's fine.
Yeah.
You go there and it's fine.
Do you think that this could eventually merge with your original goal of acting? Like, because a lot of comedians, once you reach a certain threshold, you just start doing movies. Is that part of the goal? Have you envisioned that far? Or?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Look, I could have answered that. Yeah, he's envisioned that.
No, I mean,
no, yes, but I always wanted to do acting stuff, but I never wanted to do like ground floor acting stuff. Like, because I did a lot like student films in college and all the starting stuff.
Paid your dues.
And I was like, I don't want to do that in LA with acting. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna because I'm doing that with stand up. I want to do two ground floor things at the same time. I'm gonna fucking jump off a bridge.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
No,
so I was like, I'll do everything I can with stand up and hopefully get acting stuff through stand up. If I'm really good, I will get noticed. People will see me.
Of course.
And so,
And these are comedic roles that you want to do.
no, not necessarily. I want to do everything.
Okay,
I want to
cool.
do dramatic stuff too. Yeah, I
Nice.
think that'd be really fun.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
like to do all of the things in terms of acting. But again, I only want to do also things that I want to be doing.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get some acting thing where I'm just on some bullshit thing that sucks. It's like that to me is not fun because it'll be fun for like a day and a half.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh, I have to. It's like school. I don't want to have to do that. I'd rather be in something like, wait a long time and be in
Something
like
you've
be in,
created,
like,
yeah.
or be in something like, fucking The Bear or
Yeah.
something like that. And I've been like,
Cocaine
I
Bear?
love the Bear,
Yeah.
the show.
So-
it's so
Oh,
good.
was there a show called The
There's
Bear?
a show. It's huge.
Oh,
like
yeah.
chef cooking show.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
show. It's so
But anyways,
good.
the point is just like a quality, great
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Like that's instead of like working my way up through the ring. I'm like, I'll just wait and just be on something cool. Like that would be.
I think that's success. What
Yeah.
you're saying, you get to do what you want to do when you want to do it, and that's success.
Yeah.
you
To
know?
me, it is, and that's what I'm doing. And so I can't. It's hard when I complain because I'm like, how am I complaining? It's like, what am I complaining? Because this is what a life.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, I was getting into acting. I'd done some student films and had the headshots and the reel and everything. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then I was like, wait a minute, why is this so hard? And I'm like, well, maybe I haven't considered what shows I watch that I would want to be on. Like what to my interest.
Yeah.
What I want. And then I'm like, I don't really watch any shows. I don't watch that many.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of stand-up. I don't want someone else's script, kind of like what you're saying. I don't want to play some bullshit character who I have no connection with, just so I can write home to New Hampshire and be like, hey, look who made it.
I know.
I'll be on Thursday night at 8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Good for me. I have a cool car now. Like, who cares?
I know.
Because that's really... Then you've had to commit your whole life
I know.
to something you're not excited about.
No. Yeah.
With comedy, you completely write the whole thing, top to bottom. If you succeed, it's you. If you failed, it's you. But
Yes, that's what I like about it.
And that's what's scary,
it's
too.
It's not some script someone else gave you and said, go be this guy on stage.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Well, that's the thing with acting too. Is like you can be the best actor in the world and you won't necessarily be
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's
That's
no
fucking
blueprint.
crazy.
Yeah.
If you are the best comedian, if you are the funniest, you will be successful.
That's true.
You will be. If you are that good, you will be successful. That's
that
like
is
what
true.
I think Seinfeld had an old quote where it not verbatim, but it was essentially like, if you are like this great, like you will be successful, but the hard part is being that great.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah,
If
and
you're
I-
just murdering everywhere,
Yeah.
people will take notice. It's
Yeah.
not that hard to figure out.
Well, we all like to think, though. I mean, like, I don't know, because I have like a paranoid mind that kind of keeps me a little sharp too. Is that I like to imagine that there are guys who have never tried comedy, but are just the funniest dude at a party.
Funnier than most comedians.
Yeah, he's a mechanic or he works in sales or whatever, and maybe he just never had the balls to try comedy. But if he did, would be that murderer that we're talking. And we're like, I'm glad no one's heard of you. Like you're just one less guy I need in my way.
Absolutely.
And you fear that skill. You try to push yourself to be that guy who, in any situation, anytime, can say the right thing.
Absolutely.
Because that guy's out there.
I know,
He's
dude.
around.
But that's what's nice about the control is that we have control over it. As a comedian, like you have the control. Acting and stuff, you have no control.
None.
Zero control.
No.
It's crazy.
And sorry.
No. Like we are kind of control freaks in that, like, that sense of it. Like, we want to be in control of our career. With acting, you have no control at all, and this gives us the power to not only continue to work on our art, but also like put it out there.
Yeah,
We can put it out there,
I
even if
know.
people say no. If people slam the door in our face, we could still put it out there online.
Yeah.
And you were doing that,
Yeah.
and it gave you a leg up, and that's fucking cool.
To-
you know?
To what Lena was saying, when you were posting your material and you were in that real renaissance.
Yeah.
Because we were talking with Anthony earlier also, there's two kinds of posting these days.
Yeah.
There's the material.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the crowd work.
Yeah.
And it seems crowd work has been astonishingly skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, yeah, no, yeah. That's a real. That's a all right, right there, brother. That's
Let him see.
it is Steven. No, he's that upset about it.
What are you?
No, because
What
I,
is
as a comic, as an artist comic, I feel the same way. Like one is the craft, and the other is like a spectacle. It's cool. It has a value. People enjoy it, obviously, but it's not what we built our goals on.
Yes. But I will say, I will be a hypocrite briefly.
Yeah, okay.
Is that it's only been crowd work for me, right?
Okay,
Mostly.
okay.
90% has been crowd work for me, right?
Okay, so yeah.
But though I'm rolling my eyes because of how oversaturated it is now. It's like everybody not only posts crowd work clips, but posts just anything.
Yeah.
And they're just forcing it. And it's it's not like an interesting thing anymore. You're just, I mean, it's interesting if you're really good at it, but everyone's doing it. So you're like, like you really got to try to stand out.
Now, what's your opinion on the psychology of the fact that it's working?
Yeah.
It keeps, like, what does that tell you about the crowd? Like,
yeah.
do you think about what this tells us about the people who go to the,
Yeah, I think I think what's always so special about crowd work, though, even when watching it live, it is such a beautiful thing because you know that moment you're a part of is never going to be replicated and has never been done before.
Yeah.
So
until
at
it's
a show,
reels 10 million
until you'll fucking see it on TikTok. Exactly. But before then, it's like you're at a show being like, you love these moments because you know that you're
You were
a part of
there.
a unique experience.
You were there.
So that's why I think the crowd work clips are so great because you experience that on your toilet pooping.
Right.
You know, you're like, wow, I feel like I'm a part of this moment as I'm
That's
shitting.
why you're
This is so
watching
cool.
comedy, just like a toilet pooping.
Didn't even have a 2-drink minimum. I'm at a seat
Dude,
for
I say
one.
that when I open the shows, I usually say it's so funny how many of you guys have watched me while you're pooping. Like that's so funny.
That is
There's
hilarious.
a 2
And
flush
they're
minimum on that
shamed.
one.
There you go.
So,
Nice,
yeah.
dude. Nice.
They're
Wow,
ashamed
so many
too.
king and
Now-
throne jokes you can make.
Now you talked about like you moved to LA immediately to be working in this entertainment field and be a comic. Now that you've kind of made it to where at this point, do you see yourself staying in LA or do you want to go somewhere else and do this?
I think you never know. I'm open to anything.
Yeah.
I think a big part of my life is just being open to whatever happens. I'm never like, I will do this forever. Like, no, I don't know. For now, I like it here, and I can't see myself leaving. But you never know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because I don't know what LA is going to be like in a few years. Like, who the fuck knows?
It's changed already.
Do you feel like
going
you need,
well.
do you feel like you need to be do you
LA.
feel like you need to be in LA to make it as a comic?
No, absolutely not. No. But if you are not in like an Austin or a New York or like a Chicago, like you have to be in a place where you can get on stage almost every night. That's the problem. There's not a lot of cities like that.
All right, I've been hearing that since the beginning of my getting into comedy, is that people will tell you got to be getting up every night.
Yeah.
However, the hurdle is finding a place to
Exactly,
get up
yeah.
every night. So are you including mics? Like, 'cause-
Yes. Oh, I'm talking about most of the people who are like starting off. Like
Yeah.
you need to be in a place that you can do it every day.
Yeah.
But it's like, so it's not just LA. You don't have to be in LA.
Yeah.
Being in LA doesn't really matter. It's only if you want to be working in the industry or trying to act, I guess that's more important. But like
Sure.
you can be in Austin, New York, wherever, but you can honestly be wherever as long as you can get up all the fucking time. Because you can still do shows, film it, put it online. If you're that funny, you'll start to get opportunities. It doesn't matter where you are. But the key is being able to get on stage. That's the hard part. You go to a Nashville, where are you're gonna go to Zany's, and then how are you gonna get up there?
Yeah.
And then where else are you gonna do? One bar show? It's like, cool, you live in Nashville, but you do stand up twice a week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to play country music too at the same time. That's the only
Which
way.
sounds awesome too. That sounds really fun. I went to Nashville. That shit was so fun.
I love Nashville, man. Yeah, Jack's Barbecue and country music nonstop.
Fun.
It's great.
You ever run into issues like I've heard of like times where maybe you sold 200 tickets, and then the booker is like, well, you know what, actually 50 of them were comps,
Yep, absolutely.
And so have you had to deal with that like on your own? Do you send that directly to your agent?
I've dealt with that I think 3 times.
Really?
Where one place, I will obviously leave the places out of it. But
Sure, of course.
There's one place that it was like I went into it, and it was a club, and I went into it thinking I sold like 305 tickets. It's a lot of tickets for
what did
one
you
show,
feel that you had
right?
sold?
And so that was, and they said these are all paid tickets, and I was like,
Great.
holy shit!
That's
It was also
awesome.
early in the tour, so I was like, holy fuck, this is crazy.
great night.
That's an insane like thing.
Thousands of dollars.
I'm not used to selling that many tickets. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, in one night in a random place, and then it turned out like I think it was like 110 were comps. And they didn't tell me until like after, and they found out like after. They were like, "Oh, actually," they printed out. Oh, actually, there was like 100 comps. I was like, 100?
That's a couple
Where
grand,
does that
dude.
come
That's
from?
a
Huge difference.
Yeah,
Is there a way to prove it though? Like,
Yeah.
were
Yeah,
you
for
able?
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they were like, here, I just didn't know these were comps until after. And I was
Okay.
like, oh. So there's no like malicious intent. There was no
Okay.
like, gotcha. But it was like, oh, I didn't realize these were comps. I was like,
Sure.
bro, you said paid. You were like paid tickets, and they were like,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah.
These are 100. And
But
so
it's-
that's So
there's
that
no
happened.
malice at the end of
No,
the day.
it never is.
'Cause
That's
you
the
hear-
thing. It happened.
Well,
recently.
no, but you hear stories and like
You hear
I was told,
stories.
don't leave the club
yes.
without counting your
That was
money.
me.
Yes, and
That's-
what's
and-
crazy is I did a club recently where I asked for a breakdown of the ticket sales because the ticket sales were lower than they said, and it was the same thing where there were some comps and discounted that I
Yeah.
didn't know about until
Yeah.
after, which I just want to know. I
Yeah.
don't care if you throw a
You're
a
a
few
math guy.
tickets
Yeah.
out there. Just tell me what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I asked for like I was like, hey, do you mind if I see the breakdown of the tickets? And they were like, and the guy was like, oh, yeah, no one's ever asked for that before.
A knowledgeable
never-
person.
I know.
People don't
I
bring money.
know.
Like, of all the comedians in the history of this club,
What?
I'm the only one.
Yep.
You know,
I'm telling you,
like bizarre,
you,
bizarre.
It's bizarre.
I've known to always be like because through experiences and friends, like always check every little thing. Yeah.
I think they're probably afraid of confrontation.
No, it's
'Cause
just a lot of they
comedians are
will not
artists.
say
Maybe.
anything
It's bizarre.
about the
they just get
money.
the check and go, oh, cool, bye. And you're like, yeah, but you don't even know how they got that number.
Right.
It's wild to me that there are so many comics who will spend their career on stage talking to massive groups of people. You get them alone socially, and they're like, I don't know what to say. You know,
know,
like it's
I
weird. You
know,
know,
I
like so
know.
it's just because you can go speak to 300 people and kill it doesn't mean that you're not afraid to go talk to the booker after and be
Well,
like,
there's a
I don't know.
fear.
It
You gotta
seems
keep it,
like
yeah.
you
There's
know,
a fear. This is an opportunity, like, and you're thinking it's going to be taken away from you.
Yes, absolutely.
If you ask about your
Absolutely.
money, something that you
Absolutely.
deserve.
But the key is in doing it in a cool way.
That's
Yeah.
something you
Most people aren't like how aggressive we're pointing at each other. A lot of people do
I
that
know.
shit
No, it's
at
true.
the club owners.
This
and that's
Yeah.
a bad
feels-
move.
this
Yeah.
feels-
This is
yeah,
intense,
yeah, yeah.
but you have to do it in a way that's like really cool and like I did it recently, and I was basically like, "Hey, we're on the same team here. Like, we both want the same thing. I just want to know basically what's going on."
That's what you
Yeah.
said. Those were your words.
Yeah.
Essentially, because so many people are going in there like guns blazing.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
bro, like that's where you're gonna fuck things up. When
Yeah.
you're like
Yeah, yeah.
really going too aggressive. You got to be really cool and really chill. That's the key. But assertive.
Yeah.
And like, let me see what's up.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I had one club where again, this is I don't know how. I hope I'm not painting myself as like a jerk or anything. But
No,
No, you're
you're
efficient.
being
You're
so
very
the way
thorough.
you're coming at it. You're not looking at people as they're bad going into it. You're
No.
saying no, shit happens.
But,
Let
like,
me just
yeah.
figure out the numbers.
that's all it
You
was.
just,
And
just talk it out.
There was one place that they because every club that I've learned about they take out like money for expenses. You know, they say, oh, we took this much for marketing. This is the house expense. You know, that's the downside of doing clubs is they take
is that
money
up
out of your
front?
check.
Do they? But they let
Yep.
you. They
know, it's
outline
in the
that.
contract. You know, like, oh,
Okay.
it's these are the expenses that'll get taken out, and
Yeah.
that's just part of it. That's for doing clubs. That's like the downside of doing clubs. Is there's a lot more expenses. But one club they charge for marketing, and most clubs do charge for marketing. And this club never posted me on their Instagram once before the show. Like once, they didn't say it once. And I was at like a club.
that's weird.
Wow.
Not one post
supposed
like
to
so
sell
and so's
tickets?
coming.
That's
Well,
weird.
me. They're not gonna.
No, but
you
I
know.
mean, like it would. You're always going to
help
the supplement
like,
of the club.
promote
but-
the show like
Yeah.
at least once.
Yeah.
I know I'm not at that
Yeah.
big of a name, but like promote it once, and they didn't. And so I asked them at the end. I was like, hey, well, how come? I just was curious. I was like, how come you guys didn't like post about me on Instagram at all? And they were like, oh, we didn't. I was like, no. And they were like, oh, yeah, I don't know why. And then they wrote me a check back for the marketing fee.
Wow.
Because I said-
just
That's on you.
asking
Good for
for
you.
it.
And but
for
the
you.
key is that I wasn't like, hey guys, what the fuck? You post me on Instagram. How am I supposed to sell tickets? I was
Yeah.
just like, hey, just curious why. Because I am responsible for selling tickets. I understand that. And I'm up to the challenge. I'm not relying on you guys. I got it, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, I want to know why you guys didn't post about it. That's all.
Do you feel? I had talked
enough.
to a guy who I saw was a traveling, headliner, and I was talking to him about a similar conversation of selling seats in clubs and what kind of clout you need to get booked in a club,
Yeah.
and so you can prove to the club that you can sell in that
Yeah.
city. And he had said, he goes, most clubs don't really expect the comic to sell in their city. They just
Yeah.
expect you to be good and easy to market. And I was like,
that
wait,
true?
what? Are you serious? Like, if
no
you've
way.
done a dry bar, then you don't expect,
There's no way. No, clubs, they don't care. I mean, they'll maybe give you a one-nighter to see how you do. But if you sell 4 tickets, they're not going to be like, yeah, come on back next year. Like, no way.
But like, so a club doesn't have its own expected
I see
draw.
what you're
Maybe a
saying. I see what you're
300
saying.
seater.
Yeah.
Like the
maybe they know-
UCB has their own draw.
Right.
You know they're going to sell out like
Yes,
all the time.
It's like what you're saying. There is a draw with a club for
Right,
sure, but it
right.
depends what it is. It's always like weekends. You'll always get walk-ups. You'll always do well.
Yeah.
Like I did a weekend in Royal Oak, Michigan, and I sold like a shitload of tickets. I think mostly because of this club had a great local draw, and,
Yeah.
and then but it was combined with my draw, and it was like these 5 packed shows. So I think every club absolutely has a little bit of a draw, but if it's on a Tuesday, it's on a Wednesday, ain't no one.
I've heard you
ain't
talk
no
about
one doing that.
doing those shows.
Yes.
Like you've done Tuesdays
a bunch
on the road.
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and like mostly there's no club draw really on like a Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right.
It's,
And you're
it's a
bringing-
small. It's like it's a very small draw. It's mostly all me, but that's what's fun about weekends. It's because you get the club draw. You get all the people who go for a date night and stuff like that, and you get to gain new fans that way.
Yeah.
You know.
So clubs versus theaters. Do you find there to be a different vibe? Do you have a preference? You know, like what's your sweet spot? I know like a lot of clubs will hold like 300, maybe a levity holds a 5.
Yeah.
You know, like what's your sweet spot? Like some comics like, I mean, you said you don't want to do arenas. I mean, not
Well, I mean,
there,
again,
but,
like
you know,
if I'm there, I'm like, oh my god!
He'll do it.
Of course, no, we would all do it. But the idea that, like I've heard comics say, if you do an arena, you have to wait for the roll of the laugh to end.
I've heard the same thing,
because it goes through the different rows. So no, literally, like you have to slow down your set. Yeah.
I've never done a theater before. I'm going to do actually my first one with a buddy in Santa Barbara next week. But not my show. It's his.
Sure.
But either way, I think club like 280 or whatever, like 270, maybe 300. That's like the best. Yeah.
It's nice.
It's like Comedy Works Denver. Like
That's
that
awesome.
shit's like perfect. It's like club seats like 280 or whatever. Low ceilings packed in. That's comedy. That's what comedy is.
Yeah.
600 seats in Brea. That's a tough, unless it's sold out. That's a tough feeling. But
Because there's vacancy in the room.
It's huge. Yeah, it's huge, you
Yeah.
know, unless it's sold out. But again, I think like a sold out, like 250, 300, forget it. It's the best. There's nothing
Do
better.
you have any venues that are still on your checklist you haven't hit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like what?
Like Denver, headlining Comedy Works Denver. I'll do that next year. And I did Denver in February of this year. So I'll wait a while until I go back. I probably won't go back until maybe the fall of next year because I want to wait a while before I go back.
Strategic, so people can come back and
And they can also see hopefully a bit of a different show. Because if I go back like now, it'll be different, but it's not like that different. You know what I mean? So, but yes, there's absolutely clubs I still like. DC Improv, that's a big bucket list club I've never done. But I've done a lot of, between opening and headlining, I've done like most of the clubs I've always wanted to do. Which is really
That's
cool.
super cool.
Yeah, I've done like pretty much all of, like a lot of them.
Like other than Denver, are there any others that are still?
Still like on the list of like,
Yeah.
I mean, headlining Tempe Improv, I'm doing that next week, and that's a big deal for me
Okay.
because that's a club that I love, and I had like as a feature, I had like my best weekend of shows I've ever had there, and that like almost kind of changed me as a comedian. Like
Oh,
I
wow.
kind of had this like
I want to ask you that
click.
defining moment
Yes.
that it clicked.
It was like there.
Really?
There?
Yes. And
What happened?
I was just featuring for Brent Morin, my buddy, and I had like, I was doing five 20-minute sets, and which is always really productive. And the first show I like didn't do well. I hated my set. And that night I went back to the hotel and got like smoked a bunch of weed and just like sat outside in the balcony and just like reworked my whole fucking thing. Like the whole thing, every little thing. I found all these different moments, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I went back the next night and had like one of the best sets of my life.
Dude.
And the whole weekend,
Hell
it
yeah.
was just
Hell
like
yeah.
crazy to the point where Brent knows me very well. He was just like, I remember we were at a bar after we were all done with the weekend, and he was poking me and he was like, I've never seen you kill that hard. So that club to me is always like a special place. So now I'm headlining it next week, and I'm like, oh, this place is so special to me.
Yeah.
Clap for that. Congratulations.
That's
Oh, thanks, man. No,
And that strain of
Clap,
weed,
thank
you keep it on hand at all times. That's the good.
It was actually Molly. I lied. It was actually Molly. I was licking the couch. No, I'm kidding.
We're all
Do you
taking
have
Molly
any
right
on you?
now.
Can we get some of that?
I'm
Yeah.
too nervous to do those drugs, man. Because what's in it? You know what is it?
No,
I
these
don't
days.
know.
and you have a lot of
These
energy,
days
so
you
it's
can't.
like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
need to chill. That's why I smoke weed. I have to chill the fuck
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Right, but I hope it's an indica because sativa is going to get you way worse.
So,
know.
Now,
You're right.
Yeah.
another question is you're casually mentioning while I was doing these 5 feature spots on
Yeah.
the road with Brent Morin.
Yeah.
Brent Morin's a big deal.
Yeah, I love Brent.
How did you start to get into the paths of a name like a Brent Morin
Oh,
and become
yeah.
his road guy? Like, how'd you guys meet?
Yeah. It was honestly through Jason Collins, another comedian.
Yeah.
who,
Jason Collins,
who
yeah.
would open. He was like him and Brent were like he was open for Brent for a long time, and I did a show with Jason at Flappers. Like, bro, I've been in LA for like a year, and I was miserable, and I hated it, and I was gonna leave. I hated LA, and I met him. I knew who he was, and I met him, and he was like, hey, like he thought it was funny. I was 3 years in or whatever, and he was like, hey, like who are you basically? Like, who do you hang out with? Where do you go up? And I was like, nowhere. I just do open mics. And he was like, he's like, I'm at the Comedy Store tomorrow night. Come to the Comedy Store and I'll just introduce you to people. And so through him, I started meeting like all these people and became, I started meeting, I became cool with Brent. And then through him, I became cool with Bobby Lee. And then Brent recommended me to open for Bobby, and then I got to open for Bobby Lee a few times.
Wow,
when I was
yeah.
like 4 years in,
Super
just like
cool.
fucking crazy.
So wait,
I
you're-
kept meeting people
What?
through those different moments.
Wait, so you
But
have this moment, you're about to leave LA, you're like, I'm
Yeah.
over this,
Yep.
like,
I was looking at apartments in Denver.
I love those
Get
stories.
out.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I almost left because I was like, this sucks here. I'm miserable, and I feel like I'm just going to these mics, and some of the open mics you do,
Yeah.
you won't even get up. You go there, you fucking wait
that's-
around, and then you
a
don't get
bucket,
up.
Yeah.
like a bucket.
I was like, bro, let me bomb. You don't even
Yeah.
let me bomb?
Yeah.
I have to go home? That's it. That was like, I can't.
Those are
Because
the
it was the whole
worst.
thing. It was like, if I'm going to go do the thing, I'm ready to do the thing.
Yeah.
If I go home and I have just this like
Energy
blue balls,
of one.
you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yeah.
fucking crazy. So I was like, I'm out of here. There's no way I can do this shit. So I want to go to a smaller market to develop and grow and then come back after a few years when I'm funnier. But thank God I didn't.
But things happened, and it was just
and it
like,
all worked out. But again, because I met Jason, he introduced me to people, and that was like inspired me. Like maybe I will stay because now I'm like getting to know all these people now.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I should stay.
and that's what a lot of it is, though, getting to know the right people at the right timing.
I know,
And,
I think an undervalued thing in stand up is being like a good hang, being an easy hang.
No, for
talk
real.
about
That's
that.
So
important.
important.
It's
So
really
so
important.
We were just talking about
important.
that.
It's
Yeah.
really undervalued. That's and I like when I say Bobby Lee took me on the road, he took me on the road and he had never seen me do stand up.
What?
One
that
time.
happened
Just because
with
Jason
Alyssa.
said
Yeah.
that you were cool.
Because like
Yeah.
Brent was like, you should take him, he's ready, and Bobby said he liked my vibe and I wasn't like intrusive. And he was
Wow.
like, so he put me up and I did 5 sold out shows in Denver at the Comedy Works. Dude, I did a half hour on every show. And he had never
Yeah.
seen me do stand up. How crazy
Did
is
you
that?
guys
Yeah.
drive to? Or you flew? I'm sure.
Flew separate, didn't see
Yeah.
him until the shows.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was
Never-
wondering with the hang. Like,
Never saw- I
So
never-
were you in the green room together?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
okay,
In the
but
green
that's
room
about
together.
it.
That was like, and we went out to dinner every night because when you open for Bobby, you don't see him during the day. He just plays video games all night, sleeps during the day, and then you see him at the show and you go out to dinner. And he buys everything at the restaurant, like everything. You just get like,
Like-
an insane.
I want to go to dinner with Bobby.
It's
Like,
so
that sounds great.
Dude, testament to
God.
Bobby.
I'm
He is like
hungry.
Bobby's like the most generous dude I've ever met.
He has a
He's
great
He is
energy.
the best guy,
Yeah.
dude. In Denver, my best buddy Luke lives in Denver, and Luke brought a bunch of his friends to see Bobby out the show, and Bobby took like 9 people out. He was like, yeah, invite all your friends, we'll go out. And he paid for like everybody. He was just this like
Generous dude.
generous dude.
Wow.
And then he bounced without saying anything.
I love it.
I mean, I've been watching Bobby Lee back since the Mad TV days.
Me too,
you
bro.
know?
Me
Yeah.
too. That's what's
Yeah.
crazy about opening from and hanging with him. I was like, this
Yeah.
is not, I'm like friends with Bobby Lee.
Yeah, right.
Hey, has there been a transition point in your like comedy identity? Have you gone from like writing jokes to like just a joke on whatever? You say you're
Yeah.
at the store today, you write a joke about the store. You're in traffic, you
Yeah.
write a joke about the traffic. To now where there's like a Will identity, like it fits into a funnel.
a structure, like, because when
Yeah.
you say you restructured you
Yeah.
had bombed and then you came back,
Yeah.
what was that? Like, I was like,
Are we calling that a Will identity?
yeah.
Oh, I like that. I like that shit. That's
Wow.
good.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make some shirts in here. I like that shit.
A little metamorphosis.
I don't know what it was. I mean, there were specific things that aren't really that interesting about how I reworked it, but I think I'm slowly
We want to
finding.
know.
Well, just like in
think it was
general, though.
interesting.
to
Tell
you
us
kind of-
now, Will. Tell us
Or
everything
kill
you
you.
know.
I think it was like slowly just like finding my voice of.
That's the
I
voice.
think
That's
that's
what
what
I
it was.
wanted
Just
to hear.
slowly finding that, and I'm like just starting to kind of find it now. But what I'm trying to do now though is because I'm in this zone of headlining and doing this hour
Yeah.
of jokes, and eventually trying to have a version of a special from this set that I'm doing. Basically, any new joke that I write, I want to be able to put it into the act. So it's hard if
Right,
I write
yeah.
a joke that has nothing to do with anything. I need to find a way to make it kind of related to somewhere within this.
That's what I'm
50
getting
minutes
at.
of jokes.
Yeah.
What does the voice mean to you? What is that?
I think it's just your point of view and your perspective and how you present yourself, how
absorb
you,
the world around you
basically,
too.
and how you present it. And
Yeah.
I think that takes a long time to figure out because you're probably just emulating your favorite comedians for the first few years. And so I think I'm slowly finding how I'm able to present and how I'm able to do my shit. But again, it's just if I write anything new, it always has to just kind of flow into the same shit that I'm talking. It'll kind of
That's
have
what I'm
to fit in. It
saying.
has
Yeah.
to fit in,
Yeah.
Or you just do a joke and then you post the best version of it and you don't do it anymore. You just burn it. That's
So there
also
is a
thing,
vibe
too.
that each joke has to be able to fit within, like,
If
cause
I'm really working on something, yeah, it's like kind of got to fit in, in some way for sure.
It's not just a chop work of like 25 different jokes. that
No,
fill an hour.
no, I want it to be able to fit in, because I want
Let's tell
every
a
joke to be
story.
better than the last. So I want it to
course.
like go into the set and be strong and go with everything else.
I just wanted to touch on the writing process a little bit. Do you write on your own? Do you work with other comedians and collab?
Always on my own. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if anything, like my buddy Michael Blaustein, who is like one of my best friends, sometimes we'll sit and like work on jokes together. But that's like, even that's pretty rare. We don't do that a lot. It's mostly just me, like after a show on the way home, like in the car.
After your show on the way home.
Yeah.
Are you still hitting mics and stuff regularly? Like, I'm always wondering because at your level, it's like, how are you workshopping it? It's just shows that you're workshopping.
I officially stopped doing mics like within the last probably 6 months. I would do like one every like maybe month when I was like really desperate to get on stage, and then I hit a point where I was like, I think I just won't do this. Is crazy.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't need to do this
I remember
anymore.
you
Like,
having
if
a
I did.
zany sweatshirt doing a mic.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Hollywood comedy.
Wow.
And somebody was like, "Wait, have you done zanies?" And you were like, "Yeah."
yeah.
And then it was this
Wow.
moment of like, "What the hell are you doing here? You're in this dungeon on Melrose.
Fair, I
You've
know.
done zanies.
Yeah.
Like, wait,
Don't
bye,
down
dude. You
him.
graduated."
Yeah.
But so there was a time though when there was still an overlap where you were still
yeah.
doing. You'd done big clubs. But you would still do the groundwork.
Yeah,
because
because I thought I wanted to still get up almost every day, if not every other day. And so if I had like 3 days where I don't get up, I'm like, fuck, I gotta do something. I gotta get up something. But I still feel that way a little bit, but I'm more comfortable now with taking the 2 days off, taking the 3. It's like, it's fine. Like
You're doing the work.
Yeah, I know I'm doing the
happening.
work. I know it's happening. It's like, 2-3 days of not doing stand-up is fine. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And I used to not think that. I used to be like, it's
Yeah.
gonna leave me. It's all over me too rusty. It's like, no.
I'm gonna leave myself. It's like it's a weird.
But I feel
like
like I've earned that now. That took 9 years of work. I don't think you can say that when you're 5 years in, 4 years in. Like you need to be fucking doing it every day.
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
Until you're at a point that you want to be.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
And you got to bet on yourself. That's the main thing.
That's all. That's what I did.
Which you did. I wanted to ask you also about when you were doing the booking of the tour on your own and everything like that. How'd you manage a budget to like the hotels and places to stay? And all that?
Well, I mean, obviously, just did it as reasonable as possible, and luckily, I saw ticket sale results prior to booking a lot of travel, so I knew that if I I sold X amount of tickets in a certain city, that I'm like, I could afford to spend a little bit on a hotel because I know I'm going to make this amount of money or whatever, things like that. And some of them were like, if I did the Bay Area, stayed with my parents.
Yeah,
there's a free place to stay, and we drove.
Yeah,
Shit like that.
Make it work.
Yeah, it was that first leg. It was that first 3 months. It was all like low investment places, places that are easy to get to. DC, I was already going there to do something else. Shit like that.
Yeah,
so just getting
make
creative.
It make sense.
Got it. Now we are coming down to the last minute of the
is
show.
a fucking buzzer gonna go off?
Oh, it does. It does.
Wait, no,
that's why we're like
the whole studio is gonna detonate. In 1 minute.
It will go off.
What will go over? What happens?
Yeah, $1 million. Yeah, 1 minute. So, a really important question we all like to ask a lot of our guests. This is probably the most important question you're going to get the whole podcast.
Can't wait.
What's your favorite ice cream?
Favorite ice cream? I would say like a cookies and cream.
Oh, I love
Love it.
I love that.
What about where can people find you?
On my Instagram, just follow me at Will Burkart, Burkart. Everything's there. That's easy. Don't find me. Just everything you need is right there.
I
The
love
store
that.
links, everything.
Yeah.
Just go there. That's everything you need is right there.
Any big shows coming up you want to tell us about?
When does this come out? Do you guys know yet?
3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Couple weeks. Well, it's just I'm trying to time that up. I'll be in Raleigh October 10th, Charlotte October 11th. Then I'll be in Cincinnati October 17th, and Columbus October 18th, and then Orlando October 29th.
Yeah,
That's
this
my
is your
October.
tour.
I don't even know my local
right?
shows. You've got your national shows off the
Yeah.
top of your head, dude.
Yeah.
You're an efficient guy. Thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks
This
for
has
having
been
me.
wildly
I appreciate
educational.
it. I'm glad.